The following Conscious Consumer Network recording of a live broadcast is available to purchase in high definition at ethymarket.com. Support free and independent media by becoming a CCN pledger. For €10 a month, you can have unlimited access to CCN high definition downloads at ethymarket.com. Ethymarket, the ethical marketplace for conscious consumers.
Hello and welcome to the One People Show. Hello and welcome everyone to the roundtable for this week. I'm not alone. I know it looks like it for now, but I won't be for long. Dee is joining me. She just had to jump out of the room. And we do have the return of a recent guest, Kyle, from here in Australia, who we're going to have some fun with. So I'm looking forward to that. Before we get to Kyle, though, Dee and I did have quite the conversation last night, my time, and covered off a couple of what we think are some more anomalies. Hi, Dee. I can't hear you though, love. No audio. Can't hear you. If you can hear me.
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Are we live?
Yes, we are.
Hi, everyone. Did you miss me? Did I miss anything?
No. I was just starting to tell
my internet is fucked, apparently.
Of course it is.
Back. 1 minute.
Oh, fun and games yet again. So in regards to either the rewriting of our history, is that taking place, or is it different timelines once again? And this is going back to Afghanistan in 2003, and who was involved in the initial troops on the ground, and also is it or isn't it a nation state of Mongolia? I can't hear you, Dee. You got to unmute or something.
I have no internet. Sorry, guys.
Yes, you do. You're back.
I'm back. Okay, good. Hi, everyone. I'm back. We're having a bit of a storm, and apparently just the moment we went live, it decided to fuck with my internet. Coincidentally. Yeah.
I was giving them an update on our conversation last night in regards to World War II. Iraq. And Mongolia. And who was or wasn't involved in the initial liberation of Iraq.
Yeah.
Now, in my timeline, in my history, there's nothing in Mongolia except arid land, goat herders, lots of yurts, and as a nation, it was absorbed into China at some point way back.
Thank you.
That's my memory. But apparently that's not the way it goes. And even they even have an armed forces that was involved in the Iraq War.
Yeah, apparently Mongolia fought with the United States in Iraq.
Can anybody,
No.
I was trying to think of it last night. Can anybody remember what they were calling the United States, Australia, and Britain? It was the Trinity of, or the Triad of, or the
triad of something that Lisa and I both very clearly remember it being called like the Trinity or the Triad, i.e. the invading forces, England, the USA, and Australia. Well, guess what? Now they're saying, no, there was 4 countries. And guess who the 4th country was? Poland.
But not only that, apparently 98 different countries, wasn't it?
It was
Were involved. That's a world war.
In 98, it was like the countries involved, reportedly now, that came in towards the middle of 2003 and into 2004. Now, Nick and I were running through some of the countries. Nick says that pretty sure he remembers Japan being there. And I actually went to Japanese history, and I went and looked up. And yes, they said Wikipedia right now says that Japan's first ever external armed forces leaving the country going elsewhere was in 2004 when they went to Iraq. And I'm saying, I'm sorry, didn't happen in my fucking timeline. Did not happen in my fucking timeline. Japan did not send armed forces to fucking Iraq. Neither did Mongolia. Get this? Here it gets better. The United States Air Force went and picked up the Mongolian forces, and they were fighting with the Polish. Yeah, it didn't happen in my timeline. I'm sorry.
No, not in mine either.
And not in Nick's either. He was just like, no. And yeah, and Mongolia was part of China. No. Now, Mongolia was part of Soviet Russia and got their independence from Soviet Russia in, I think, 89 or 90, according to the history books. And they have a capital city that has like 1.3 million people in it. Yeah. That's not
the timeline I'm from. I'm sorry.
No, not from my timeline either.
I'm just wondering whether anybody in the the Mongolians were the guys on yaks fighting with swords.
I pulled out an article from 2003 from the New York Times saying Mongolia is going back to Iraq for the first time since 1270 something or other, when Kublai Khan invaded Iraq and destroyed Baghdad. And all of a sudden in 2003, Mongolia went back to fight alongside the United States, because apparently they're good buddies with the Polish.
Well, nobody in the chat room knows this is their history either.
So none of you guys remember this?
No, as far as everyone's concerned, their understanding of Mongolia is the same as what I said, basically, including no Japan in Iraq.
Yeah. No South Korea was in Iraq either, but apparently they were there too. So are they fucking changing history to make Iraq the beginning of the Third World War? Now, granted, you go in we talk about Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, which is a phenomenal read to really get a good grasp of what's been going on in the last 75 years. Basically, they state, of course, the fact that the Third World War the First World War never ended. And we are still in a world war that has continued. But basically, when you go back and you look at what they've written about the Iraq War in 2003, it was a world war. Everyone was fucking there. Like, there were so many countries there. It was unbelievable. I don't remember that.
I'm sure it was 98. 98 different countries that supposedly were involved.
I can look it up. Hold on.
Because that's what I said to you. I said it's got to classify as a world war. We've got that many countries involved. Must have been more foreigners in Iraq than Iraqis.
Well, this is what they're saying. I mean, it's just, hold on, I'm trying to find the specific. Here we go. I think this should be it.
Well, Linda remembers Mongolia as part of Russia, not China.
Oh, isn't that funny? Oh, no, that's battles. I don't want the actual frickin' battles. Just give me a second here.
Well, it took 10 minutes to find
36 other countries. I will give you the list.
Where do I get the number 98 from? What was the 98 for?
Well, I mean, hey, listen, even apparently Iceland sent 2 guys to the Iraq war, and they have no idea when they withdrew. That's Wikipedia.
Oh, okay. A friend of mine, Stephen, actually, he says he was speaking to a New Zealander who was running a business in Mongolia for a number of years, a few years back. Mongolia is not what I think we thought it to be. I'll ask him more about it. He was in business there for about 10 years, but the economy changed, all the money left, and businesses all left and closed all at the same time.
Well, see, this is the thing. Lisa and I were talking about this, right? I read an article about 5 or 6 years ago, and it was actually a breastfeeding advocacy article. It was written by a woman who was from Northern Europe, and I want to say one of the Scandinavian countries, but I can't remember which one. And her husband was sent to Mongolia for a mining operation to run it. And it was this kind of diary of her going through raising children on the steppes with the nomadic peoples. Like, she was living in a yurt and raising her children there. They were there for like 7, 8, 10 years, something like that. And the article was about the differences of society and the acceptance of breastfeeding, because breastfeeding there is so completely average. Every day, children are breastfed till they're at least 5 or 6 years old. It's just another part of life, like feeding your children breakfast, right? But the whole thing was that the whole premise of this article was the fact that he was there to work, is running a mine, and she was still living in a yurt on the steppes. And I can remember clearly reading this article and her talking about the fact that Mongolia is mostly nomadic. While there are a few towns, that there are businesses, in like, the central town type thing, the capital. Basically, the people are nomadic. And they don't give a flying fuck what the government does anyway, because they're just nomads. They just don't care. So, I mean, this was just 5, 6 years ago that I read this, and she talks about, society, what it was like living there, what it was all about. And then all of a sudden you read this new stuff and you're like, yeah, no, that doesn't gel with anything I've ever read about modern Mongolia.
So,
yeah, interesting. And the whole Japan thing? What was that?
Jeff made an interesting observation. Rewrite history, put the new narrative into the public domain, and get tacit consent to manifest it.
Well, you know what, Jeff? I'm not going to say you're wrong, because this is the thing that I've been talking about this on Transpicuous News. They have so many, political figures publicly fighting about World War II and who owns what and who invaded whom and all the rest of it. So it's always been the story. Are they trying to change history, i.e., if you just keep saying it, sooner or later it becomes true? Or is it a matter of literally different timelines? And I've never seen it happen until to the extent that I've seen it this year. And this year it has been continuous news of people making government, like foreign ministers and prime ministers and presidents, making statements about the past that are absolutely 100% false.
Somebody, I'm sorry, I don't remember who, put a link to Starfire Tour in the Facebook conversation in the Unfocus room. So I went and had a major Starfire Tour day a couple of weeks ago. And initially thought I'd love to get that woman on the show or do an interview with her. But the more I listened, I kept hearing her say things like, basically it's like she's taking copyright ownership of the concept of the Matrix. She even made the comment that it was her research that was stolen to make the films, The Matrix. And I thought, you can't copyright time anomalies that everybody that millions of people are observing around the world. That's crazy. But she did have some really interesting things to say, and theories on what's going on. But she used the term in there, core matrix. Now, there's a film called Parallels, which came out this year, which sounds like a brilliant, and it is a brilliant concept. Really badly B-grade executed, though, I thought. was a real shame. Like they had a gold mine there and they screwed it. But the film, I'm even going to give it away because it's not worth watching.
That bad, you don't even want to watch it. But go ahead, give us
there's a couple of few key things to take away from it, which is it's a couple of kids, late teens, early 20s. Their dad who disappears, they get a message from him saying to be in a building at a particular time on a particular day. They walk into the building, it's deserted. There's graffiti all over the lobby that says things like Earth number 57 is gone. Earth number 22, what we know of as 9/11, happened on October 26th. And it's got all this sort of graffiti everywhere. And then some lights start flashing, things start shaking. They run out the door, and it's a completely different environment. You know, it looks like a post-apocalyptic. Now, apparently, this building shifts realities every 36 hours. It goes from Earth to Earth to Earth. They don't really know how many there are. Dad finally pops up at the end, and in the reality that they're from, their mother died a few years back. And so the core message right at the end is that there is a core matrix, a core Earth, from which everything is a sort of variation of. And you need to get back to the core Earth. And to do that, you need to find your mother. Okay. So that I've just, you don't have to watch the movie now. I've just saved 2 hours. So that I thought was interesting, but it got me. Then I had a series of dreams, and I saw, you know, that dream I told you about where they were all on top. Right?
Yep.
I think I shared that on the show.
Yep.
It turned into the flower of life. So if you imagine the flower of life, and there is a core, there is a real Earth and a timeline core, and then the flower of life is all the other ones. It's suddenly what I saw that before became 3-dimensional with a flower of life. So there are all these, and that they're doing this pulsing thing where it's like almost 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's starting to close in. You know what I mean? Now, energetically, last week or even the last 2 weeks, things have been trippy, and it's almost like everybody around me has been on their own individual timeline, and they haven't synced. And then, say Friday, I think it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, something like that. For about 24, 36 hours, everything felt like it went sync. Everybody got on the same page. Issues were resolved. Everyone got clearer. You know, fluffy bunnies and rainbow farting unicorns. It was all great. And then out again. And then we discovered this business about Iraq not being as we remembered, and I don't know. But that's, my visuals are evolving as to what this all looks like and everything. It feels like each time I get something, it just, it broadens, it deepens, and it makes more sense to me. But that's where I'm at right now.
Well, you know, it's funny because you and I have talked, I don't know if we've actually discussed this on the show.
Howdy.
It's so hard when you have conversations to know what we've actually talked, you know, Lisa and I together versus what we've actually spoken of live on the shows. So I'll just go on. I have a theory that basically it's kind of like what Lisa just said, but there's a core Earth, a core timeline, if you will, that is maybe even could be different for different people, but that we each have our timeline that we're from, that is ours, where we come from. And that in that you've got kind of like your set of characters, if you will, I call them my primes. So like, there's Danny Prime, and then there's Nick Prime, and there's Elisa Prime, and there's, do you know what I mean? And you are in that. And in those moments when you're all together, everything gels. But then there's moments where it's almost as if all of a sudden you're not in your right timeline. And it's, even your interactions with people feel different. It doesn't connect the right way. It doesn't connect the same. Or you have conversations and you just kind of go, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. Where is this coming from? Who are you? And it's something that that's kind of like one of my theories, is the fact of kind of like that, where I've wondered, are we literally kind of phasing in and out or skipping through, etc.? And every so often you kind of click and your whole kind of prime group comes together and you kind of go, hey, awesome, this is fantastic. And then all of a sudden it shifts again and you go, oh,
Welcome back.
yeah. Shit. Off we go around the loop again.
It's Linda just asked me, do I feel like it's timelines converging? And yeah, that is what it feels like. And because we've had discussions on these timeline anomalies where there's been 6 different versions of events. Everyone's got something different and they swear blind that's how it happened. So yeah, that's what it feels like. Every single one of these Earths, it makes up this big flower, and it's endless, but they're starting to collapse.
Okay, so let's go back to one of the conversations we had on before, and we talked about the whole thing of the idea of the cycles again too. I talked about the fact of we've seen cycles as running almost like a linear thing, where you do a cycle and then a cycle and then a cycle. And I said about the fact of, what if we were running all these cycles all at the exact same time? And what we perceive as the different cycles are actually, or different timelines are actually the various cycles that are running all at the same time. Because time is not linear. Time is not linear. So, and that's why you get these kind of, this whole thing with the article that we sent. And I'm going to read out a little bit about the guy in Japan, because I'm sorry, that is just so relevant to the conversation we just had about Mongolia, which is why now it's an older article. Lisa had already read it, and it's about a woman from Spain who swears that she's from a parallel universe. Now, in the article, they actually go into a secondary story about a guy flying to Japan. Okay, now this happened in the 90s, apparently. There's a story from Japan. A man flies into the country with what appears to be a valid passport, only to find that nobody has ever heard of his country of origin. The curious incident took place in Tokyo, Japan during the early 1990s. A man arrived on a flight with a passport from a non-existent country. The man expressed anger and shock when Japanese customs officials detained him. Although the officials checked their records carefully, the passport had been issued by a country that did not exist. No record showed that the country had ever existed. Although passports exist issued by non-existent countries, known as camouflage passports, this passport was real and had customs official stamps on various pages, including stamps by Japanese custom officials from previous visits. The man was well-traveled, Caucasian, said the country was in Europe and had existed for almost 1,000 years. He had legal currency from several European countries, international driver's license, and spoke several languages. Finally indignant, he demanded a meeting with the higher government authorities, and he was convinced that some massive practical joke was being played on him. After being detained for almost 14 hours in a small security room at the airport, the government officials took pity on him and took him to a hotel. And the end of the story is they basically posted guards at the, okay, I've got a fly who's like seriously driving me nuts. They posted guards at the hotel, and the next morning, the guy was gone, vanished. Pardon me a moment. I have to go get a fly swatter. I have a fly who's insisting on sitting on my face. I'll be right back.
It would have been good if they'd mentioned in the article the name of this so-called country, but they don't.
Yeah, I wish they had. That's what I said.
Yes. And the article that article is embedded in is a really interesting story about this woman. Apparently she was she was going into forums and things, trying to find some kind of help to figure out what the hell had happened to her. She was convinced she wasn't mad, but there was some stuff going on, including she was still living with her husband that she'd broken up with or left a year before, or 6 months before. And the boyfriend that she was now with didn't exist. So she didn't quite know how to make sense of that. I've got noises in the background, people having conversations. Sorry about that. Dee should have muted before she wandered off to swat flies. Hello to everybody in the chat room. Hey, Lily, I can see you there, and Tracy, and Sheila. Okay, apparently some people are having issues with the stream, but only a few, which is good. It's all good at CCN's end. Willoughby, what's with all the Russian? I don't understand what you're putting in there. Okay. Yeah, everything's good at this end.
So anyways, the reason why that story just jumped out at me is the guy's coming from a country that doesn't exist. And he's obviously, I mean, he's gotten on a plane in his country, in his timeline, because otherwise you couldn't have checked into the airport and gotten on the plane. And somewhere during transit, he flipped to another timeline or another reality or another matrix, whatever you want to call it. And his country does not exist in that timeline. And it's like, that was, Lisa and I just finished having this huge conversation about Mongolia, going, yeah, no, Mongolia doesn't exist as a separate country. It's part of China. What's going on?
It was a lot easier when we thought they would just try to rewrite history.
Yeah.
That was an easier conversation to have. This one's getting a little bit complicated. You ready? Okay. Kyle's going to join us now, and he's going to explain to you what he's going to do. But essentially, we have, see these pretty coloured Australian dollar notes. We've got 5 or 6 50s and $100 note. And he's going to explain to you what that actually is and what he's about to do with it. So he's going to come on right now for us when he gets himself situated. Right? Yeah. Take that one too. Because as you probably know, I would imagine, everybody in the room, they are a promissory note from your government. And they are a promise to pay when there is something called real money or real value in circulation. So essentially, he's going to call them on it. Say, okay, I'm ready to cash this in for something of real value. So let's have some fun.
We're not actually joking. He is about to call.
I'm here.
There he is. Good morning, Kyle.
Hi, how is everyone?
Peach keen, dude.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, perfectly.
Sweet. So what we wanted to talk about today was it's going to be a cheeky little phone call to the Australian Treasury. And for those of you who don't understand the currency that's sitting in your wallet, there it's actually a promissory note. Now there's two requirements for a promissory note. Either they have a scheduled date to be called in, i.e. like a 10-year promise to pay, or they're like the notes that are in your wallet that have no date on them. So therefore, what happens is when you're holding them in your wallet, you're actually the holder in due course, which means that you can call it in to be transferred into real money. Okay, and because they've got the Australian Treasury signatures on it and their name on it, that means that they're liable to be called in for payment. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to call it Australian gold coin money. So, yeah, you guys interested in that?
Yes.
So I'm actually going to on and hopefully you guys should be able to hear no problem at all.
Okay, is that Lisa and Kyle dropping off? Or is it me again? It's just them. Lisa and Kyle, you guys are going to have to cuddle up again. I'm sorry to tell you, we can't hear you. Hold on. Hold on, guys out there in TV land. I'm just going to type this to them because I don't think they can see. We can't hear you. No, we can't. Yes, I think they're going to have to share a computer because I think they're stretching their bandwidth.
We're back.
Oh, you're back?
Yeah.
I think you guys are going to have to go snuggle up together. I hate to tell you because
Lisa's just here now, so that's all good.
I'm on it.
Yeah, she just said like. Okay, cool. So Lisa's just going to listen in anyway. I'm going to make this call now, and it'll be an interesting call. Let's see.
Are you going to put on speakerphone?
Let's see what happens. Let me just find the. There we go.
And if you want to give your own local treasury a call after this, just take some notes.
Yeah, by all means.
Yeah, take notes. Call the Canadian Treasury. Ask them to hold up to their promissory notes.
On the note, they're the ones liable to pay, right? It's their note. It's their promise to pay. So let's go in here. Oh, that's not it. Wrong one. Oh, bear with me, guys. There we go. Can you guys hear that?
The funky little dial tone?
Yeah.
The Treasury, good morning.
Yes, good morning. I'm just calling up. I have some of your promissory notes in hand. And I wanted to find them.
I'll just put you on hold for a moment.
Thank you.
Okay, you wigged out, and we need to try and get everybody else offline, I think. It's too much internet being used.
Hello?
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi.
Whom are you after?
I'm trying to find out. I'm holding in due course of some of your promissory notes, and I wanted. I'm holding in due course of your promissory notes, and I wanted to find out. Okay. I might do it on my.
If you guys can
turning off my video.
Yeah, you guys are going to have to go on.
Call them on your phone, not Skype.
Yeah, but the reception here is pretty bad.
Oh, okay.
So look, what you guys can all try this. Try this at home. It's okay. It has
Come
a
out here,
number.
Kyle. Come out here.
Ah.
Go, Kyle, hang up and go snuggle with Lisa. Just go, sit next to her, but just don't be on camera. And then we can hear you maybe, because we can't hear you guys.
Show them that and show them the number on it.
So-
the number on it?
Where's the number?
See the number there.
Oh. So on your notes, there'll be a serial number. There's one down here, and it's repeated up there.
That's the tracking number.
That's the tracking number. So basically, you just ring up and you tell them.
Yep, just basically say to them that you're the holder. Just tell them that you're the holder in due course of some of their promissory notes, and you would like to call them in to be paid, please. And how do you go about doing it? Now,
What's happened when you've done it in the past?
well, I haven't actually done it. That was the first time.
You did it already.
No. So that's why I was going to do it live on air. But anyway, we've got pretty bad reception up here in the hills, so you guys can try that. Now, the HJR 192, basically, the government seized all gold. Here in Australia, they still have an official Australian gold coins. So what you need to understand is a gold coin that they have here when you ask for payment is if you get $100 gold coin, the intrinsic value is $100. However, the face value is $100. However, the intrinsic value is much more than that because they have to use gold. Okay. So just give it a go. Call them up and tell them you're the holder in due course of some of their instruments, and you would like to call. You've got to say the word "call them in" because that's what you do with a promissory note, and ask them how you go about doing it.
And watch them go. Blah, 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 blah.
You might get put through to a few different departments, but just sort of persevere and just inquire about it. And if they say, "Oh, we can't call them, or we don't have any money," say, "Okay, well, can I please get your name, and can you please put that in writing for me?"
Can I have the number? We'll try it on my Scott. So
Sure. Hold on, I'll go and grab it.
Yeah. We'll give it one more try because I really do want to see what the response is. I'm sure there'll be lots of umming and ahhing and choking on the spot. But I will switch the video off as well to try and cut
Extend
down on
the bandwidth. Make sure no one else in the house is on the internet. Just for 15 minutes.
Yep. But we'll do it on my Skype and see what happens.
Oh, that sounds like so much fun. Tee-hee-hee. Yes, I can imagine the looks in the department of like, oh, promissory notes? What?
What?
Do we have a department for that?
Okay, it's 02.
Well, we don't need that because we're in Sydney. We're in New South Wales.
Well, just if you're doing it on Skype, you do.
Oh, okay.
02. We'll just put 2626
2626
32111.
32111.
Have you finished that?
No, I've got. Hang on, that's too many. 02,
No,
and
just
then
take the O out. 2626 32111.
nope, doesn't work.
In Australia.
Yeah.
2.
You guys still have the video on too.
Let me get the video.
Too late, sorry.
Okay, we're just having a look now. Let's have a look. 626. That's the number. This 02626 32111 for the Australian Treasury. It's not happening. Let me see. Don't understand why. Give me a minute. Two six two six three two triple one. Yeah, it's not allowing us. We'll try it one more time.
Try it on yours.
I was gonna say, wait, it allowed you once, but it won't allow you twice.
Wonder why. Shall I try mine?
Yeah, pull your computer over and let's see what happens if you can just kind of, try it from there.
I'll try again. Let's give it another go.
We have tone.
Hello. Yes, hi, good morning. I wanted to find out I'm the holder in due course of some of your promissory notes, and I'd like to find out how I can call them in to be paid in Australian gold coins.
That's got to do with coins, is it?
Yeah, I want to call the promissory notes in. I'm the holder in due course. I have the instrument numbers here.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you've got what?
I've got one, two. I've got $400 Australian dollar promissory notes here.
Promise note.
Yeah. The currency that you issue, it's a promissory note. I wanted to call it in for payment.
From what? From where? From whom?
Well, it's your note. These are the Treasury notes that are issued to Australia people, yeah?
Oh, okay. One moment.
Thank you.
Put you on hold. One moment.
Okay. We're on hold.
No, they're not
Can you-
confused. She wasn't confused at all.
Hmm.
Just one moment, so I'll put you through to someone to be able to assist you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Someone's in brain challenging process.
Yes, the poor woman's now running around the office going, I need someone who knows something about
Hello?
this.
Hello.
Yeah, hi, sorry. Look, I'm just calling up. I've got some of your instruments and I wanted to find out how I can call the instruments in to be paid.
Well, it would be dependent on the nature of the particular instrument as to how you can go about redeeming them.
Yep, I've got the serial numbers. I don't know if that helps. It's the Australian dollar notes.
I don't know that you need to redeem an Australian dollar note. That would be if you've got $1 notes, that would be something that they're on legal tender, but I believe the Reserve Bank will convert them to currency for you.
Well, what I'm trying to ascertain. Well, I've got the promissory notes, which are the Australian dollar notes, the promise to pay, and I wanted to call them in to be collected in Australian gold coins. And as it's your note, I'm assuming I speak to the Treasury to have it called in. And I just wanted to know how I go about doing that, because I'm the holder in due course of it.
I don't believe that the Treasury deals with the conversion of paper money to gold money, and there's very little gold money that is generally speaking legal tender. But having said that, it would depend on the quantities and so forth.
Yep.
I think you'll find that paper money is legal tender throughout Australia. There is no need to convert it, and if you're talking about individual $1 notes, those are no longer legal tender within Australia. They're replaced by dollar coins.
Yeah. Well, I understand the legal tender. I just want to actually have money, have the promise to pay transferred into money, and I understand that the Australian gold coins, you still have the $200 gold coin and the $50 gold coin. So I just wanted to actually hand these promise to pay back in to have it honoured. I'm assuming there's nowhere else I can go, as it's your note. It's got the Australian Treasury on it.
So what you're talking about strikes me as being a somewhat pointless exercise. What do you want to do?
Okay, so it's my understanding that the legal tender notes that are here, a note is exactly a promise to pay, which is an instrument that has a tracking number on it, and I want to call the promise to pay in to be paid in official money, Australian money, which is my understanding the gold coins, the $50, the $100, the $200.
Well, that's not the case. And if you have a look at the legislation in these matters, paper money is legal tender throughout Australia.
Legal tender is not the same thing.
But legal tender's not money, is it? That's what I'm saying. These are just a promise to pay that I'm holding in my hand, and in order to call in an instrument or a promise to pay with that doesn't have a date on it, then I need to call it in. Who else can I call it into for payment?
I would suggest that what you're talking about is nonsense.
Is there? Can I ask what your position is in the department, if you don't mind?
I'm happy to tell you what my
Sure.
position is. I'm the HR manager with the Australian Office of Financial Management.
HR manager. What's HR stand for?
Human resources.
So you're involved in employing people? What's that got? Do you have the qualifications to understand what I'm talking about? Could you put me through to someone that actually understands currency and instruments in your department?
Well, what I'm saying is that what you're talking about is nonsense.
Well, I don't believe you've got the qualifications to say that. I'm just trying to get through to someone in your department that actually understands bills of exchange. As you are the Treasury, I would imagine putting me through to a HR manager is really not sufficient qualification to deal with this matter.
Well, what's your name?
My name's Peter.
Peter.
Yep. Peter.
What's your last name, Peter?
I don't have a last name. What's your name?
Telephone number, Peter.
What's your name?
Tim Redden. I told you that.
Tim Redden. Thanks, Tim. Yeah, so can you put me through to someone who's in your department who can handle this matter?
And I'll get somebody to call you.
No, I don't have a phone number. I'd rather just get through to them now, if you don't mind.
Peter, I'm not willing to waste people's time with nonsense. And what you're talking about at the moment, Peter, is nonsense.
Well, I just don't think you understand the situation. As a HR manager, what qualifications do you have in instruments? Do you have experience in banking? I know you might think I'm talking nonsense, but I very much know what I'm saying. I just want to talk to someone how I can have these transferred in, call these in. And I don't believe a HR manager who's responsible for hiring people has the qualifications to understand what I'm talking about. Perhaps, I'm not saying you do or don't, but it seems to me that you don't.
Peter, the fact that you won't give me your name, your number, all of it suggests to me that you are indeed not, what can I say, being open and honest, and therefore
Well, I'm just a member of the public trying to get some answers to some questions. I mean, you are the Australian Treasury.
Why don't you put those questions in writing?
Well, I'll do that. Yeah, who could I put them in writing to? Okay.
Or you could write to your local member,
Okay. And there's
which would be happy to respond to your wishes.
great. And there's no one there that I can actually speak to today to get an answer on this?
Well, the short answer is no.
Okay. Find that very strange. Okay, well, I'll leave that to some correspondence and we'll find out, we'll get to the bottom of it. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, Peter, bye-bye.
Bye.
Are you fucking kidding me? They put you through the human resources?
Why would they put you through to a HR manager?
HR, human
Got nothing to
resources.
do with
But of course it does.
anything.
It's backed by HR. It's backed by human resources.
No, but you know what I mean?
There you go. Maybe you could be right. It is backed by human resources, right? We are the value. This we know. So, I mean, kind of in a twisted reality, which we specialize in, if that could be the way it works. But not only that, he said, contact your local member of parliament.
Yeah,
Wow.
your local member with the.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Because
Okay, but now imagine.
like he was trying to
Everybody.
perpetuate the myth that the Australian central bank is actually owned and part of the government, which it's not. So
The thing is, if we get 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 people ringing that guy and asking the same question. Who knows what the impact of that would be? But he just kept keep telling him, you don't have to do that because it's okay. What you've got is legal tender. It's fine. You don't have to cash it in.
It's legal tender is not money.
Legal tender
is not money. It's very, very, very easy to just sit there and say, no, it's not money. I want my money, which is the promissory note is for real money. Now, I don't know how it works in Australia, but I do know several people who've talked about this in the United States. There's been a couple of really excellent articles, and which of course are on my old computer, which is now dead, so I don't have access to them, discussing the difference between promissory notes, legal tender, and money. And there's a world of difference.
Yep. Yes, there is. I think we've got Kyle back in the other room.
I wanted to hear what people were saying.
People are saying, let's have a party. Too funny. There was a bravo or something in there. Awesome. Applause.
I think next time we do the call, which there will be another time, maybe we do it next call, we'll target who exactly we need to speak to and try and arrange an appointment, a telephone appointment, so we could speak to them in relation to the matter. I hardly think HR's got any qualification to determine or understand whether bills of exchange can be traded for legal tender, for true money.
Yeah. Well, I like the fact that you asked him, are you even a banker? I'm sorry, human resources has nothing to do with banking. On the
public side.
On the public side. So, yeah.
Wow. So anyway, I hope everyone got a bit of a laugh. I hope there's a little bit of an education tool there. And the HJR 192, which was the American confiscation of all gold. Now, basically, you win either way. Like if you contact them and say, I'd like to call these notes in, that just proves fraud. Secondly, if they won't pay with gold, with real gold or real money, which is the commodity-backed gold, that means there is no way to pay anything, people. It's all fictitious notes of paper.
Didn't he actually say that? There isn't anything in circulation or something? Didn't they refer to?
Do you really trust the HR manager? I mean, we'll just go higher and higher until we get to an answer. I will send a letter too. So we'll keep you posted.
Oh, definitely send a letter.
Yeah.
So if anybody's got 5 or 10 minutes and they need a laugh, make a phone call to your local treasury.
And it is my understanding, now that this could be rumor, but I understood that the parliamentarians, the politicians, probably high up, not lower down, actually get paid in real Australian gold money. So, that's just interesting. Here we are dealing in.
Well, that kind of makes sense, Kyle, that they would be paid in real money, because you just said a $100 gold coin is actually intrinsically valued much higher. So these politicians who have these low-paying jobs, they took a huge salary cut to get into politics. So they're getting $150,000 a year or whatever the salary is, but it's in gold.
And the rest.
Yeah, they're not doing too badly out here, I can assure you. They're not on the poverty line.
So that's fun with the guys. You get 100,000 people calling the hotline and asking that they want to exchange their promise to pay as a holder in due course, and you want to call the note in. Just see what they got to say.
Hey, I wonder if I could do that with my Iraqi dinar.
All of them, they're all the same. Anything that has a note on it is a promissory note. And if you look up in Black's Law, it has the definition of what a note is. So they're all just promises to pay, essentially. That's what they are. They're just instruments, trading instruments.
Hang on, I want you to finish that thought. What do you mean with your Iraqi dinar?
Well, be one thing. I mean, it was just a thought off the top of my head of like, if those rates are actually on a back screen somewhere, and they have to, you call it in at the central bank level, would they have to pay you at the rates that are on the back screens? Same thing with the dong. Not the public rate, but the private rate. Would there be a way? So Kyle, go back to
we
public
force the RV, in
private.
other words.
Well,
Yep.
yeah, let's go back to public and private.
Yep.
Now, we know that people are cashing in on the private side,
Yep.
right? So if you go at it from that direction of, but using it as a promissory note, not as a, hey, I want to, exchange my currency. No. But you go and say, no, I have this promissory note, which I actually had mine. I just found my dinar tonight, actually, by accident.
Hang on. So there's going to be a private and a public side of the Treasury as well. So you just dealt with, Kyle, you just dealt with the public side of the Treasury.
I dealt with the public side. Exactly.
Okay. So let's try and find
Private
out
side, you can probably do administration, but I'll keep you all posted. But remember, it's the same system. Now, if I can't get any further in the Australian Treasury, then who does the Australian Treasury belong to? Maybe we've got to go as high as the Bank of International Settlements. Hey, we're here to collect.
Oh.
Who knows? We'll see.
Well, that means the whole world could go to the Bank of International Settlements with their.
Well, this is what we've got to look at, because what they're actually perpetuating is a full global fraudulent monopoly system, which is exactly what they're working on. That people are dealing in.
Our stream started getting hammered on the last few minutes, by the way.
So they're dealing in international the paper instruments, which is all just fiction and fictitious currency. So one way or the other, you either call in the promissory note as per the law allows us to, under the Bills of Exchange Act, internationally and locally, to call in to be paid with real money, or you admit via a document signed that there is no way to call it in. Therefore, that just proves that it's all fraud and you have to pay for nothing.
Okay, so in the chat room, Kyle.
So
Philip said the next step would be the RBA.
Yep, that's another one, because
Private
I think
side of the RBA.
That's right.
What you got there, JD?
I have a handful of foreign currency here.
Mm-hmm.
Is that all different currencies? Different?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've got some Iraqi dinar. I've got some Vietnamese dong. I've got Congolese francs. I even have a really, really old American $1 bill, which has seen a better day. I got that in the Congo. Go figure. So, yeah. My question is, sorry, because this is, my brain, I got a one-track mind sometimes. If we were to go directly to the private side, so I'm looking at that. That's the 25,000 dinar, the Iraqi dinar, okay? If you look at that and you go, okay, no, unfortunately, I don't read Arabic, unfortunately, but I mean, I guess we could get someone to translate it. If it says promissory note, which I assume it does because all currency is fiat,
yep,
then could you go in through the private side where we know the rates are there, and don't go at it from the angle of, I want to exchange my currency, but I want to call in
the promise to pay.
this promise to pay on this note.
Yeah.
But do it from the private side.
So ask yourself this, right? The banks, you go into the bank, you tell them you want $10,000, right? You sign a piece of paper, i.e. create the currency, you create the money out of an instrument. The bank then loans you. Now, what they're actually loaning you is an IOU. They're loaning you a promise to pay you, and then they're calling for you to pay them back. It's like you could call and go, well, when you pay me what you promised to pay, then I'll work out. Yeah. So, that's the way it's working. That's the way it currently is. And, as most people know, it's all being exposed. So, push the boundaries. We've got to start. If more people understand what's going on with this fiat money system, the better we can start to.
Someone's Skype is ringing.
Yeah,
mine.
sorry. Mine.
That's very interesting, folks.
I hope you enjoyed that.
So for people who want to just, whether they want to play or whether they want to push the boundaries or whether they want to get more information by going to their local bank, how do they ensure that they're going to talk to somebody in the private? What's your, you don't walk up to a teller, clearly.
No, you have to set appointments with business. You've got to go high up. Now, the banks aren't going to play ball because, let's face it, they're the ones behind the fraud. They're the ones perpetuating it and creating it. And, you know, it's a mass deception against the public. So really what you've got to remember is whoever's got the signature on that note, that is their note. They're the ones you have to call in from, which is why we went to the Treasury, because it's the Treasury, Australian Treasury note. Okay, so it's their promise to pay. Get it?
I'm just looking at this really old American $1 bill. Shall I read out what it says right on the $1 bill here? It says, United States of America, this note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. So then you should be able to say, I have a private. I would like to pay this. I would like to turn this in private. It's right there on the bill, at least in the American money. It's right there on the bill. I don't know if you can see it. It says, private and public.
Does anybody in the chat room have a new bill that they can have a look and see if it still says that on there?
Yeah, hold on.
Oh, this is fun. This feels like a flash mob again.
Yeah. I have an American 5. Do you want that?
The stream is getting a bit hammered, but it seems to be okay depending on where you are in the world. That's funny. So yeah, if anyone's got a new note, I'd be interested to see what the note that you've got is from when you were in a Congo. So that's what, 15 years ago or something, 12 years ago. Dave. Huh?
Me?
Talking to you.
Huh? Oh, I didn't hear what you said because I wasn't here. I was running away.
The note that you've got is how many years old? Because you got it.
That's why I'm putting. Yeah, I'm putting my glasses on. Shh.
Okay, sorry.
I can't read the fine print. I'm going fucking blind. But these are my shitty glasses too. I can't even find my somewhat decent glasses. Hold on. Well, I'm going to do my secretary looking at. Okay, a date on this goddamn thing. Yeah, it is a goddamn.
You might look like a librarian, but you sure as hell don't talk like one.
2003. This one. So this one is a series 2003A. This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. Trying to see.
Yeah, well, apparently it's still on the newer notes.
Secretary of the Treasury, which is, crock of shit considering it's from the Federal Reserve. Hold on, I also have a new 5, or a new-ish 5. Yep, all debts, public and private. Treasury of the United States, which again is a crock of shit. Oh, this is a 2006.
Potty mouth librarian. Susan.
Fuck off.
Now you look like a potty mouth librarian from a porn film.
Forever. That's all I'll ever be. I have earned that image on everyone's brains now. There you
go. Okay. So people, when you were on last, Kyle, were very, very interested in the whole private and public.
Yep.
Now, in your experience, I mean, you did say, and I've since learned that there really is a private and a public side to everything.
Yep.
But learning how to be
Yeah.
in private. I mean, even the business with the name thing, I mean, that gets varying results for people around the world. You know, I am not the name. Here, that tends to get you put in prison or in a psych ward. I know it's done the same in America and North America. And at the same time, people have also had complete success and walked out without an issue. So do you have anything to share with people that can just get them to ask the right questions when they're in a moment or in a situation that gets them to identify, okay, this is public, this is private?
So look at it this way. When you've got the public side of the, call it ledger, because that's pretty much all it is, you're dealing with fiction the whole time. The names you're dealing with, the corporate entities, are all fiction, okay? It doesn't mean that we don't have one. It doesn't mean that our name given by birth wasn't similar. It's just spelt differently when you're dealing in the fiction side. That's all public. As soon as you go into private, you're dealing with truth. You're dealing with man. You're dealing with everything on the private. So these traps and tricks to go into a so-called court environment is the trap. It doesn't matter what you say in court. The mere fact that you're rocking up there means that they realize that that you still don't know who you are and what you're doing, because you cannot go into a fiction court to argue truth. Okay? So it's all they're doing is contracting with you. As soon as you're stepping up to that, even if you're appearing to stand up and prove and say that I'm not the name, too late. You're already there. So any like court summons, all that, they're all offers, they're all contracts. You've got to like notarize them, send them back, and hand them back into the court and say, I'm not playing in your fictional world. I don't consent to unlawful administrative procedures. I do not wish to participate in the fiction. Just try putting that on all the way over and hand it back into the court. Done. Then it doesn't mean you don't have a claim. You can actually go in on the private. And when we talk about a private claim, it's like not going into the public court arena to prove case law and all that kind of stuff. Is to get a settlement on the private. And that's what happens. So when you do that on the private side of the court, they're just there as the administrators to get settlement on a private matter. So it's only truth can be brought into that private matter. So what we're trying to teach people is stay right out of this public court system, because as we know, it's not there for us. It's there to deal with the fiction, the person, and create instruments and deposit funds and all that kind of crap. And who, you know, it's the big basis behind it is we've got to stop feeding the system. You know, we've got to stop feeding in every way. We've got to start getting our own currencies, which it's all starting to happen. We've got to stop going into these courts and playing in the public. There's absolutely no reason. You get all these acts and statutes and all these departments sending you stuff. It's like, hey, I'm not playing. You're dealing with the wrong person here. You're dealing with a fiction. I'm not into that. If you want to come to me with a claim and some truth, then we'll deal with it on the private side. But they never do that because they can't. So we've got to just completely stamp out playing in that realm. So, and you know, and there is a process. A lot of people have families and assets and stuff like that. So before you can really get to that stage, you've got to understand and how to protect your assets and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, it is a process. But I hope that it sort of explains it a little bit better. I'm not too sure. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it does. But as we know, it's when we're traveling, otherwise publicly known as driving a vehicle on a road, that we come into contact with that public side at the most. And we've all, many of us anyway, have had experiences of trying to educate those officers, those revenue raisers on the side of the road, with varying results. But trying, I think at this point, you know, if it's something like that where you just pulled up on the side of the road or, you know, whatever, just tell people how to
don't argue and play with them.
Deal with that.
Don't argue and play with them. Some people, like you said, have successes, some don't. And I think you know about what happened with me last time, but I won't go into that now. But these guys are not trained. They have no idea. They don't understand law. They don't understand any of it. So it's like it's no point sitting on the side of the road trying to practice law and deal with these guys. A lot of them are thugs, are armed. Just they walk out the window and just say, anything I say from here on is under protest and duress, force and fear, and just do what they tell you to do. They want you to give them a license, give them a license. They want to give you a fine for $6,000, let them give you a fine. I just say, I'm not contracting, send it to the person, and then you deal with it in the paper, and you can deal with it on the private again. So if there's any breaches of harm, they do any sort of damage, like from that point on, everything they do is null and void. And I always record. Always get your camera out and record, and don't even care what they say. They tell you can't do it, don't even listen to them. Just record what you can, and just try not to aggravate them. And that's where they're getting you, is basically on the road. So, there's no one set solution. My suggestion to a lot of people is like, these guys are armed and they're dangerous, and just try and diffuse any situation. And they want to send you paperwork, or even if they want to take you down to the station and charge your person and sit you in a station for 4 hours and put these bogus charges on you, that's so easy to deal with after that. And then you can go back on the private side and do a claim against them. So, stop playing with guys with guns, because it doesn't work. And let's face it, they're not all assholes out there. They do have a lot of public that, crazy people that they have to deal with. So you're in a heated environment before you even start. And
like you said, they're not educated. They don't know. No. And so they're not going to believe you. You're just John Q. Public. You're just some guy. They think that they're the law.
Yeah.
They have no idea. They're not good. The vast majority are not going to listen to you. So don't get into it. Just
and they've been given all this bullshit about sovereigns and freemen.
Oh, they've been given all sorts. They get told what they want to be told. And all you got to remember is these guys have guns and they're on edge.
Yeah.
So they don't know who they're dealing with. So, from my experience, is just make it as nice as you can. And as you get sort of more proficient and protecting yourself, there are things you can do on the private to ensure next time they pull you over that they're probably going to not want to deal with you. So, it's all a learning curve. But, definitely don't go aggravating these people on the side of the road.
Don't sign anything on the side of the road. And if they absolutely force you to, then just make sure you do without prejudice, or VC or
VC.
As soon as they come up, I always put record on my camera on my phone and just say, everything from here on is under protest and duress, force and fear. There is some documentation you can carry with you that you can just hand to them. Some of them will take it and send you on your way. Some of them won't even care about it. So it all depends on the officer, their experience, and what they know.
The other point I would say, though, is like, when you say the camera and record, doesn't mean point it in the cop's face, because they're going to get pissed and probably break your camera. So just,
well, I do.
As soon as, well, I know, but I'm saying the average person, all you have to do is put it on the seat next to you. Just take out your phone, hit record, and just place it on the seat. So just off to the side. Just looks like you've got your cell phone sitting there.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So as soon as they come up, good day or whatever, just say, look, everything is from here is under protest and duress, force and fear and threat of menace. You're done. That you're not agreeing to being stopped. You're doing it because they've got flashing lights on, which is supposed to be in case of emergency. They are treating you with fear because they're armed. You're a peaceful man, woman. And threat of menace. What are they doing it for? Are they trying to get instruments, which we know they're trying to force fines on you, that kind of stuff? So it's done. Everything from there on is done. It doesn't matter what goes down after that thing. It doesn't matter. Any of it doesn't matter. Okay? Just try and make it a peaceful interaction. If they want to give you a fine and want to force you to grab the fine, that's fine. Just grab the fine, cross it out, no consent, no contract, received on this day, returned on that date, and go and hand it back into them. Send it to them the next day. As long as you do it within the 72 hours, there's nothing they can do. Okay, so just don't. All I'm trying to say to people is, if you're dealing with those sorts of situations on the side of the road, just try and diffuse it. Just say those words first, and then everything from there you can just, you can do what you can have a bit of a play with them. But if you see them getting agitated and all that, just diffuse it and just move on your way. Let them give you a fine. Let them do what they got to do.
Yeah, it's not worth the risk. People are just getting shot.
Especially, and there are some people that would like to handle that, and I encourage everyone, depending on your personality. But for a lot of women out there or people who, you know, might have kids in the car and all that kind of stuff. You don't want to be involved in a roadside debacle.
No.
You know, it's not worth it for anyone.
No, I agree. Oh, it's really funny. I had a friend of mine down in the States in Florida who has he lives in a smaller town, not one of the big mega cities in Florida. And there's a guy he knows who drives without a license plate on his car, and no cop in the state will touch him. Apparently, every cop in their county has been warned, do not pull him over. It doesn't matter if he's doing 150 in a school zone, you don't ever pull this guy over.
Yep.
He's walked into the court, I think since the 70s and the 80s, and every time he turns it around on them, and then he sues them. Yep. And he sues the cop who gave him the ticket, and he sues his chief, and and the guy has won every lawsuit. But he's one of those people. He knows what he's doing.
He knows some stuff. Yeah.
He knows how to stand there. And it's to the point now, get this, even the postal workers are not allowed on his property because they're government agents. He will not allow post office. And like he said, cops literally stop a new postman going, no, don't go on his property. He will sue you.
And that's what we find. Like it's a bit of a test level. You know, you might go through a bit of crap at first, but once you know how to stand your ground, and then look, they're all businesses. So the only way to stop a business from creating, you know, whatever they're doing to stop the bad behaviour is to cost them money.
Yeah.
And you won't go into a public court defending yourself expecting to get a remedy. I can assure you of that much. So you just want to go on the private side, and most of the times that I said last time, the new process we're looking at is we'll actually never hopefully even have to appear in a court and have the settlement done. So we're working on that at the moment, and once we've got that process, I believe, you know, that's the way to go. I mean, let's just stop putting the energy into these esoteric designed blames, because that's all they're there for. So let's stop appearing in them.
And yes, Camilla, that does apply to fines you receive in the mail. You'd need to deal with them within 72 hours, though. So if you've had any for longer than that, what happens then?
You can still deal with them. You can still send them back, but I might go on to the third-party debt collector thing, and then once you've done that, you just do the same process. And if that fails, if you send it back to them within the 72 hours, now, one thing I do tell people is if, let's say you get the letter in the mail, like, don't open them, because that's acceptance of contract.
Yep.
So if you know it's a fine, what I do is I sneak it open at the end, have a look, and yeah, that's the one. I glue it back up, and then I just go on front and back, no consent, no contract, return to sender, received on this date, return on that date. But what you have to do is take it into the post office and get them to stamp the date you returned it, and you will never see that fine again. So there's some cool little tips. Have a bit of play with it, and if all else fails and they still continue badgering you for the alleged crappy instrument, piece of paper, monopoly crap, then forward it on to the your birth, deaths and marriages register and tell them to deal with it. It's their piece of paper. We've had success with that.
As we mentioned last time Kyle was on, there are some websites that are being developed, and I think there's a membership site that's going to be launching in the next week, which is both education and assistance. It's a paid site, but there's going to be a lot of information and a lot of help in there. But if someone's in dire straits and needs help with something straight away and doesn't have the next 6 months to learn, the guys will walk you through it and hold your hand.
It's about remedy. It's a remedy on a collaborative basis, because most of the time you'll find people are dealing with the same sorts of issues. So we really wanted to make it remedy focused. There's so much information out there, and there's a lot you can read through. There's a lot that's you just don't need to know. It's actually, the processes are very, very simple when you understand and you stop playing in that game of fiction, and you stop falling trapped to the crappy letters and all the threats and all the other crap that they send you. And when you know that what they're doing, it's like the fair goes. And then the process to remedy is extremely quick. It's really not hard. So we will be doing, like I said, we've got about 30 people coming on board. We want to help those people out to get the remedy. So as we start to open it up, we've got to build this over time so we can get the staff on board to manage it. I would love to be able to help everybody. The price and that we've got set at the moment, ideally we want to charge nothing, but it's just a huge, massive amount of work, and it takes, well, Lisa, you know how much time we've had to spend on it, so
yeah,
that's what we're doing. And we've got other things involved. We were setting up a actual law company that can actually go into court on people's behalf that are not members of the Bar Society, that will be more than happy to go and challenge these things and push them through, because that fear that people have going into that court is a real fear, and we understand it. And the mere fact is, we shouldn't be going in there in the first place. And if we have to, for some whatever reason, that's what we're setting up. So it's all going to be a growing process, particularly in the next year. And there's a lot of work to do, but there's a lot of great people behind it. And it's all about remedy. It's like, it's time. There's so much info. There's plenty of places you can go to learn stuff, but we want to show you firsthand how to get remedy. And that's what it's designed for. So
yes. You know what? The fear thing is used on every scale. If you think about it, like in every scale of our lives, anything that has to do with anything remotely, as we perceive to be official, whether it's going to visit the school principal, whether it's going to visit your bank manager, whether it's going to visit, getting a passport, getting a driver's license. There's a fear angle to all of that. And it's deliberately instilled.
I'm going to post a video that I shared on Facebook the other day. It's absolutely brilliant. And it speaks to this very thing, actually.
Fear is one of the greatest human emotions. Complete yin and yang, the opposites. And people, if people are going to continue watching TV and watching the crap and watching the news and just watching all this bullshit and reading the papers, then you're going to subconsciously or consciously be in a perpetual state of fear. I don't watch TV, I don't read the papers, don't do any of that kind of stuff. All I do is watch stuff that I know is applicable to dealing with any situation that I've got to deal with right now, and just educate yourself. So, the fear goes, and that's the beauty of what we're putting together, is the people that I've helped over the time, just seeing the difference in the way they react to paperwork coming through their mail. It's just phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. When people lose that fear, they feel empowered, and then they start concentrating on the things that they really want to do in this life or need to do to create some change. So that's what it's all about.
Well, what I like about the evolution. Sorry, what was that, Dave?
I just said, just take the fear out of it. When you take the fear out of it, it's exactly what Kyle said. You're then empowered, and then it's.
And watching all of this evolve, over the last sort of 5-6 years, and all the different technologies and stuff. I mean, even just to fight one traffic fine used to take so much time and energy and paperwork and bullshit and money. It's the processes are getting simpler and simpler and simpler and simpler, because we're weeding out all the crap and all the unnecessary steps, and it doesn't take a whole lot of time and energy and money anymore. So the video, I'm going to ask Biggie, I don't know how well this works. If I was to show a video, would it stream?
I think you can share your screen.
I can, but I'm just not wondering how well it would stream.
Sometimes the volume doesn't go through. That's all.
Okay. Well, it's called statism, and I've put it into the chat room. And if you haven't seen it, it's brilliant. And it's basically the belief in government is just as much a religion as anything else.
Yep.
And how the fear and belief in authority, any and all authority, is instilled in us. But it's really well done. Very well done. Share the hell out of that on your Facebook pages. And in political party Facebook pages too. Look,
the basis is just people have just got to get back to stop worrying about the whole scheme of things, it's important to know what's going on, and I think community is important and that kind of stuff. But you got to start with yourself. You got to get yourself into an empowerment stage, and that spreads, as we know. The energy continues, and people are going to be drawn to you, and they're going to want to know. So if you start focusing on yourself, and you're not focusing on, like Lisa just said, the government, the other, they're all religions, they're all brain trained into us. That empowerment spreads way faster than anything else. But you got to do it to yourself. You got to get yourself on track.
You know what? It's really funny when you say that, because when I was first starting to get into the fraud of government stuff, and I mean, because my background is maternal infant health, that I came at it from a roundabout way, and you don't realize how that has been programmed into you until someone, for example, I would come across information and you'd read it and go, well, that can't be right. That can't be true. It can't possibly be true, because there must be a reason why we have driver's licenses. Well, there has to be. I mean, because
there is.
You know, well, exactly. But your brain goes to this place of well, no, there's got to be a rational reason. Well, you got to make sure that you don't have underage drivers driving. And then it's like, I had my uncle say to me, I've been driving since I was 12, and when I was 12, I was still a better driver than your grandmother. So seriously, you really think that's what it's about? And I was like, oh shit. And so there's a lot of that programming is very subtle, and it's not until you break through and go, wait a second, you know what? No, we actually don't need governments. No, for any reason. If you are a responsible person, and you stand in responsibility for your actions, then what do you need a government for?
Which is exactly why you have public and private, because there are people out there who can't even look after themselves. So that's what public policy is for. When you can stand up and you know who you are, and you know that you're a man, and you can conduct and operate your affairs in the private, then you don't need any of that other stuff. And most people don't. So but it takes a certain amount of understanding and like I said, knowledge to yourself. Like I said, we could give people a one sentence line to go into court, and if we gave that to the wrong person and they're just, not very honourable, nice people, then why would you want that? And this is what the courts do. They create that protection barrier. You got to go through local court, but and then they'll just run rings around you. The next court, they might give you a little bit of say, but they're still going to run rings around you. And it's about weeding out the weak and the sheep. So that's what it's about, So the system isn't all. I know there's some corruption. Well, there's a lot of corruption. There's a lot of things wrong with it. But if you understand the fundamentals behind how the system works and what they're dealing with, you can see that many years ago, the fundamentals behind it actually make a bit of sense. Does that sort of resonate with anyone?
Yes. And I'm just looking at the comments in the chat room, and it says, why do we need a license when we don't have one to live on Earth or breathe the air? But in a way we do. That's what the birth certificate is. Yeah. And when I recently looked into the word birth, embedded in the word birth is abandoned or abandonment. So the very act of birth,
signing birth certificate,
is when someone asks you what your birthday is, they're essentially asking you what day were you abandoned.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why the 7-year thing. When someone is missing for 7 years, they can be deemed dead. So on the day that you were born, the day that you were birthed is the day that you were abandoned, and then 7 years later they declare you
missing.
It's not only abandoned, you were handed over to the authority of the government, their corporate entity, who was the administrator for. That's why they come in and take your children and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, to me, I still don't know where I sit. I still don't know if the birth certificate's a bad thing or whether it's not a bad thing, because when you look throughout history and you realise, hey, when you used to do something wrong, they used to just put your head on a block and chop it off. Well, now they've got this corporate entity that you've created, this corporation that can do commerce and do business with really limited liability. But the problem that they've got is the whole intention was to train the stupid public through the public schools in order to get us to think that we're that name, and we have to answer to it and all that kind of stuff. You can see that coming through, and that's that training, that 12 years of training in the school. But hey, now we know. Let's make the trustees, who are the trustees of the trust, accountable for administering those trusts properly. And once we actually know how to work that, will it then seem or become a bad thing? So I don't know where I sit with it right now.
If it's the receipt to the account that was set up in order for you to have your experience, fine.
Yep.
But
I'd like to have mine paid in full, thanks.
Yeah,
Sorry?
even paid in half I would do.
I'd like mine paid in full, thanks. Yeah. Thanks for holding it for me. Thanks for the experience. I'm done.
Yep.
I'll just take that
Yep.
now.
Thanks for the internet, and thanks for great people researching through arduous amounts of acts, statutes, and bullshit fiction to determine what the hell it is that they're doing.
Yep.
But it's the beginning of the end, and I just want more people to be empowered, and we can see things happening all over the world, because once you understand what's happening to a level, it's the only way we can move forward to create a change. So it's all exciting. It's fun, exciting stuff. Like, get amongst it and get involved.
I have to say, it's kind of fun being here
And watching it.
with these boys, because, you know, with Kyle, I can have the sort of 3D law, remedy, private and public conversations, blah, 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 blah. And with our other mate here, I can have the more esoteric, metaphysical, the woo-woo shit stuff.
The woo-woo.
The woo-woo stuff. So yeah, I'm having fun right now. It's nice to be surrounded by like-minded. Very nice.
Touche. Well, I'm going to leave you lovely people to it. I hope that was a bit of fun for everyone, and they learnt a little bit about something. And,
yeah, please. If you decide to make a phone call,
record it and send it to us.
Yeah, but maybe in the Unfuckers room on Facebook.
Yeah.
We could start a thread there with everybody's results of what's going on. So if you're not in that room yet, or you don't do Facebook, or if you're not in that room yet, get in that room. And if you don't do Facebook, then please just send Dee and I an email, and we'll add your comments or your story to the thread.
I just wanted to put one thing in there, Lisa, before I go, is that although we're calling on the gold, and because money under the term definition is gold backed, we are moving away from that. I don't believe they have gold, or we're going to change it into gold, which eliminates your responsibility to pay anything. But people have to realize that we are the gold. Our energy is the gold. Everything that we do is just sucking our time and our energy. So we are the money. That's why we create it, because it's really about us. And I hope people sort of get that. Like, we are the gold. Yeah,
absolutely.
I'll leave you on that note.
That's why I kind of giggled that the guy was the head of, like, part of human resources, because it was like, okay, that's kind of funny. Human resources.
Yeah. Wonder if he knows what he's doing. I doubt it very much. All right, guys. Love you. Leave you. Have a great day.
We'll talk to you later, Kyle.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us, darling. Bye.
Yeah.
You too. See ya. Yeah, that was fun. So I'm going to have a look, because all of our government services here, like Social Security, anything to do with the retirees and veterans and anything, all got amalgamated over the course of last year into one department and one website called Human Services. When I saw that, I was
Monster Services. Oh, isn't that interesting? Do they service like vampires and werewolves too? And I'm just wondering.
And
It's so funny. I reposted out a little meme today that came by on Facebook. It was just about a couple hours ago. It was basically the definitions, like the legal definitions, i.e., a person is a corporate entity and a driver is and so it kind of went through, and then the one I added to it was, of course, human being. And I wrote in a whole bunch of stuff about it, but then I reposted it without completely forgetting what the show was going to be about tonight. And I'm like, oh, that's so relevant. I wish I could pull that up now. Don't choke to that, girl.
My water went down the wrong way. Hang on.
I can offer you some cranberry juice or a pat on the back. I can have Kyle pat you on the back. Bam. So yeah, I mean, everything's listed under human services, eh?
Yeah, I don't like it.
I don't blame you for not liking it, because
somebody joined the show late and was asking if they should sign a citation. We did say earlier, don't if you can avoid it, but if they insist, write without prejudice, or at the very least, your VC.
VC. Letter B, letter C.
But yeah, I don't know. It's fun and games here, to be honest. There's a lot going on. And as we started talking about at the beginning of the show, just as much as it feels like we sort of, all these realities kind of blend and then take a step back and then blend, it's pulsing. It coincides with this awakening. It's like we all what? There's this push, this surge, and then we settle back into it and readjust. And then there's another push, and then we adjust. That's what I'm feeling now too. It's interesting, and I'm revisiting a lot of subjects that I really looked into heavily 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Yeah. Little bits and pieces keep coming back, and I'm like, wait a second, I need to go back and look at that again.
Yeah, there's somebody sending me a book that I'd read many years ago that then starts me off, funnily enough, on a different track than when I've read it the first time, or a video or an article, and I'm seeing it differently. I'm getting more or different information out of it. Or it's relevant to something else that's happening.
I had that happen. Last week, someone posted on, it was on Facebook, or I don't think it was in the Unfuckers room. It may have been. And it was an article about quantum communication. And it was the same thing. It was one that I clicked on it because the blurb that they'd put with it, I hadn't recognized it. And I clicked on it and was like, oh, I know this article. This article I actually republished on Removing the Shackles, like way back 2012. But I started reading through it, and it's really funny because I actually went and pulled up the article, and my comments I put on it in 2012, and then in reading it again was just like, oh, but this has got like you take a whole different pathway out of it the next time, going, oh, I get that a hell of a lot more now. I didn't even see that back then.
Well, I did notice someone did make a comment. I don't know if it was in that room. Oh, Candy saying the same thing, things that keep coming back that I hadn't looked at in years. And there was a stream somewhere on Facebook that was saying the same thing. Might have been in the Earth Soul group, that lots of, whether it was issues from the past coming up to sort of readdress, or even old physical things coming up to be healed and cleared, or old information that you'd once looked at and are now looking at it in a whole different light.
Yeah.
Now, apparently, according to somebody on YouTube, my accent is so strong they can't understand me. So,
what?
Yeah, I don't. I'm sorry.
I don't know. I speak Australian, so it's okay. I understand her. I can translate for you if you have a problem. I'm multilingual. I speak American, Canadian, British, Welsh, Irish, and Australian.
You got a couple of thank yous in the chat room, by the way. All of the above, for me at least. Shirley, you're talking about all the past issues and things. I think that's what she's referring to. Yep. I speak Australian. Thank you, Powder. Glad you speak Australian. At least I'm not doing Ocker slang. Then nobody would understand me. No frog and toad.
That was funny when we were back in Austin when we had a couple of American friends sitting in, and we had a couple of friends who are from, Lancashire area. And I literally was sitting in between them and translating, even though they were both speaking English. Because one friend was from really down the southern states, and this other friend, and she was throwing the British slang, which is so kind of offside, although the same thing, Aussie slang kind of goes the same way. And I had to sit between them and translate.
Well, we here in Australia, we're brought up very heavily on both influences of English and American. So we get both. We get English humor, we get American humor, we understand the different accents.
Yeah.
Although if you get too extreme, yeah, in either world, you lose me. But according to Linda, I'm easy to grok. Yes, Carl's website. There's several coming up. One will be Levity, which I think is going to be launched this week. Now, Levity is essentially, how do I explain Levity? It's a concept. It's a concept. You could look at it as what New Earth was trying to do, in a way, but it's done very, very differently. And it's being done with people on the ground, real people on the ground. It's a new idea of how we can live, and it's a resource site for solution-based micro enterprise and real people, right? So the idea is, if you want to start a community, that you can go there as a resource and go, okay, we need a really good eco-friendly alternative sewage treatment system. What are we going to do? We're going to just tap into the town sewage, or are we going to be self-sufficient? Well, you can go there and you can find guys who have actually created all of that, and you can say, okay, look, I need you over here, and let's work something out.
Well, like a help wanted too, where you can get people exactly. You've got someone who says, I need someone who can help us build a barn, some yurts, some buildings, whatever. And you've got guys who go, oh fuck, I've always wanted to go there. I can come and help for a couple of months, or and you can get the exchange programs going so that, guy, like you say, the guy who knows plumbing or electrical, the guy who knows permaculture, the person who knows all these things, and they can get in contact with each other.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
So it'll get to the point where very soon this week, hopefully, where if you do have a skill or a technology or a property or a community, whatever, you can start getting your information up there. There will be a vetoing process, because it is about ensuring that there's transparency, that you're thinking about the environment, that you're thinking about the benefit of the community, all of those things, that you're eco-friendly, all of it. So that's happening. Then there's the Synergy website, which is the one that we was referring to earlier, which is the education and remedy website. Down the rabbit warren, which will be probably the last one that gets put together, simply because the other ones are needed first. It's going to try and be a one-stop shop. I mean, you and I have talked about doing this for years, creating that one-stop shop website for education purposes. And it can be the sort of, it's that opening website for those who are awakening. This is how the pharmaceutical industry really works. This is how the banking system really works, and it's that just opening people's eyes. Because, you know, when you want to tackle or research just one subject, you end up on 300 different websites and, you know, this and that and everything else. And you go down roads that you realize were a waste of time. So this is pulling the best of the best in and trying to put it all on one spot. But then for those who want to go that step further and really stand in this and really educate themselves on remedy and everything, then you could move over to Syndicate. And then there's the Attorneys in Fact, which is the law firm that you made reference to. And nobody will be a member of the bar. I think
no bar card carrying lizards will be allowed.
No. So just having access to, even essentially if all it comes down to was a letterhead that looks like it's from it's from a law firm. It's called Attorneys in Fact. That's empowering to send your paperwork off with, rather than just a Word doc from you, and that makes them take notice of it too, because it's like, oh, hang on, someone's actually,
what's this? Someone's, oh shit,
they've engaged a law firm. What the hell's going on? Who doesn't speak stupid? What, Biggie? What have I missed?
Wait.
Oh, that was about me not being understood.
Yeah.
Oh, because I don't speak stupid. Oh, okay. Oh, thanks, Big. So that's 4 sites that I know of that are on their way. Okay, so the Down the Rabbit Warren one will be a good resource for you to be able to send people to who are starting to ask questions. Okay, my mate's starting to wake up. Here, go to this website and just get a really well-rounded education on how things are, rather than giving him a list of 12 different websites that he should have a look at. So that helps. And that's what I know is happening publicly. On the public side.
On the public side of things. On the public side of things, I'm creating a new Removing the Shackles website.
Are you really calling it what I think you're calling it?
It's called Unfuckers Unite. It's what it's called. So if you go to www.unfuckersunite.com, I already have it. It's just bare bones. I mean, seriously, just bare bones. There's nothing really in there yet. You can just see that there'll be Removing the Shackles, Transpicuous News. It'll have a link for all the recordings of Transpicuous News, of the roundtable. I'll get those all on there. And there will be a forum. It's there. You just can't do anything with it because I haven't had time to set it up. So don't
just say forum.
A forum, yes. There will be a forum so that people can talk and chat. Like I said, like off of Facebook and Skype and all that crap. It's a work in progress. It's going to take me a while because I'm kind of drowning at the moment, but I'm trying. And I was, time to get off the Google monster, because of course Removing the Shackles is a blog spot and they fuck with me regularly. So I've just said, no, it really is. I've had a lot of people saying for like the last couple of years, you've got to get off Blogspot. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'm going to do it. So Unfuckers Unite is the new site.
Yes, I will put links on website. Oh my God. Links to websites in Facebook and in the Unfuckers group and all that when they're up. There's going to be a forum. So excited to get off Facebook. Yeah. Actually, there is, and I'll look into it for you, Dee. It used to be free, and then the paid version was like $5. I think they've changed that. I think it's a lot more expensive. But, I don't know, maybe if we made it $1 a month, we could do it. It's actually a community. You can create your own social hubs, completely independent. And they're really cool. I've used them before. I used them back when they were free. So
back in the good old days when they were still free.
Back in the good old days. But
maybe we'll look into it.
I will. I'll have a look, because there was a lot of really good functionality, and you could do a lot of things. You could chat on there, like live talk chat.
Yep. And I think that's one of the other things that I do have the option of actually adding beyond the forum is an actual live chat, which is just like the one that you've got on your lisamharrison.com site. So I may do that as well. I don't know. like I said, it was a matter of I sat down last week and pumped it all out and put it all together and made the graphics and just the pathetic graphics.
We've only got a few minutes to go.
Yes, we gotta go. We're being kicked off again.
So, Dee, stick around because I want to talk to you.
Yeah.
And we will probably have my other mate Ben coming on the show in the next couple of weeks because I had a lot of requests for more talk about permaculture.
Yep.
So he'll be coming on, and like I said,
and I'm going to
more to permaculture than gardening.
Yes, and I'm going to snafu Ben because I am still trying to put together the Untangled Gathering, the food sovereignty. Like I said, it's kind of stupid to try and plan something like that during the harvest season. But yeah, I'm trying to get that put together for the next, in the next month or so.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, these guys know, and through his connections, these guys know how to make black soil, biochar, ormus. I mean, you name it, they're doing it.
Yeah.
There is, they even created a plan to, how do I put this, repurpose the current plumbing and infrastructure in a community so that a community can actually use all of its waste to create its own energy.
Oh.
And its own water.
Cool.
And its own black soil. So you can actually take the waste.
We're gonna have to get Ben and Nick together then, because Nick has kind of got something like that already planned out as well. He looked at it because the fact of it's great if you're building a house from the ground up to put these systems in, but most people want to convert the system they already have.
Yeah, they have a plan for that too.
Nice.
I'm telling you, there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of people doing, I mean, these guys were in talks with even Saudi, but nobody wanted to pay for it.
That's because Saudi Arabia is broke. They're fucking broke. They're broke. They got no money, which is why they had to issue bonds this spring. And that's also why they got no money. They got no money. That's why they're trying to take over Yemen and Iraq, because they got the oil that they don't have anymore. Sorry.
Okay, we're not giving up our day jobs and starting a band. That's for sure.
Speak for yourself. Speak for yourself. Ah, yes. Okay, well, we got to go. We're getting kicked off.
Okay. Tomorrow, see you for Collective Imagination. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Sorry I wasn't able to make it last week. No internet. This went kapooey. The Biggie's threatening to mute us if we sing.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, promise no more singing.
I'll start singing Janice and then we're all in trouble.
Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Have some fun. Go and call your treasury. Let's get some people happening with this. Get them all scratching their heads going, why is everybody doing this?
What the fuck is going on? Awesome. Well, I will see you guys on Sunday for Transpicuous News.
Bye for now.
Bye, guys.
The pursuit of a free, fair, just, sustainable world should be the focus of every person on our planet. The reason it is not is because people are kept distracted by the illusions and deceit propagated by the corporately controlled mainstream media. In recent years, the rise in truly informed, savvy researchers and journalists who have all taken to the air in various capacities has given rise to a new genre of media. We have seen the explosion of truly free and independent media, and thus the need to create an ethical live broadcast network that facilitated these brave and tireless souls became apparent. With a great amount of research and meticulous planning, Conscious Consumer Network was created. CCN is a first-of-its-kind broadcast network that is specifically dedicated to free and independent media with absolutely no government control, corporate sponsorship, or advertising. The live broadcast network runs full-time with an average of 25 shows and live broadcasts a week. The high-definition live stream is free to view and is accessible from any computer terminal with online access, including laptops, tablets, smartphones, and smart TVs. All shows are archived onto YouTube and are freely available to view in order to educate and inform as many as we can without imposing monetary limitations. CCN was successfully launched on the 1st of January 2015 and has gone from strength to strength as we have improved and increased the capacities and functionalities of the network, as well as an ever-rotating and improving lineup of content which is broadcast daily. CCN is blessed to be the home of some of the hardest-hitting, most cutting-edge, truly educational and informative materials. Catch interviews, reviews, and talk shows from the many different and beautiful perspectives from CCN's family of interviewers and broadcasters. Since the 1st of January 2015, we have produced over 800 shows. We have over 2 million YouTube minutes watched every month, and we have an average of 1 million hits a day on CCN's website. CCN is viewed in over 147 different countries and hosts broadcasters from 5 different continents. The time has now come to generate funding to keep CCN on the air for the duration of 2016. The total sum needed to continue broadcasting for 2016 is $60,000. This budget includes the replacement of computer equipment, the acquisition of secure servers, which are most needed as we keep getting hacked, plus the renewal of the broadcast license fee for 2016. This is a fraction of the annual budget used by mainstream media networks producing a similar quantity of content. This is what makes CCN so successful, unique, and accessible, is the ability to run a project of this size and reach on such minimal resources. CCN does not claim ownership over any of the material we produce and broadcast, as we firmly believe that information is the common heritage of all beings, and thus CCN belongs to you, the public, and it is up to you all to keep CCN going. CCN would like to thank those who have contributed to the network in the past with resources, content, information, time, and energy. We thank you for supporting free and independent media.